Well, thanks for having me on, Sarah. Look, back in 2016, Apple was trading at 11 times earnings, and the knock on it was that it was a hardware company, and it was cyclical. If you had a good iPhone cycle, things would be good. If you had a bad iPhone cycle, things wouldn't be good. And to the company's credit, they built up a number of subscription and recurring services and products over the ensuing 5 or 6 years since then. And now the stock's trading at 26 times earnings. So good on them. The issue is, can they take this further? And Apple is there's still investors who worry that there is hardware cyclicality to this company. 2019, 2020 were not great iPhone cycles. Last year, the iPhone 12 was great. So far this year, the iPhone 13 is pretty good. But clearly there's a worry always that we could have a poor cycle and Apple's earnings could suffer. So if Apple were able to convince more people to have a subscription and basically say, you get an iPhone, we give you a new one every 2 years, you pay a fixed amount, maybe we throw in additional things like free Apple TV Plus or a discount on iCloud. I think that could go a long way to smoothing out the financial profile of the company. And that's something that investors love, more predictability and more consistency in terms of revenues and profits.
So it would cause you to rethink your rating on the stock? I think you're at a market perform. Where are you? Around 170, where we are right now?
Correct. So look, we've talked in the past about how we would view a widespread and successful services offering as being something that could meaningfully boost the multiple of Apple. And so we would certainly view that positively. The key questions, of course, are how broad can this offering be? I think when we thought about it in the past, the question is, could Apple put together a really attractive bundle of a number of different things for a whole household? Households are used to paying $100 to $200 for cable service per month, or paying $200, $100 to $200 for internet access per month. Could Apple put together a bundle where maybe there's a Mac and there's an iPad and there's an iPhone and there's iCloud and there's Apple TV Plus and there's Apple Music? And I think the more that Apple could put into that bundle, much like Amazon Prime does in terms of not only providing 2-day free shipping, but obviously having access to video and music, I think the more extensive and more compelling that bundle could be, the more attractive it would be. So the devil's in the detail. We'll see ultimately what Apple does. But if they are able to successfully engage more people in a subscription type model, that's very good for the stock. That's very good for the multiple potentially.
We've seen that in so many other stocks that as soon as they go to a subscription model and recurring revenue, it changes the whole multiple. Tony, are you surprised to see how resilient Apple's stock has been? It's up now, I think, 8 days in a row. It's at a 5-week high. It's outperformed pretty much all of FANG and the NASDAQ lately, given some of the concerns around supply chain with Shenzhen and a COVID lockdown and demand from China and everywhere else globally right now with inflation.
Right. Great question, Sarah. Look, I think those are all considerations, but at the same time, more data is emerging that Apple is having a pretty good iPhone cycle, that supply chain, while still a factor, is less of a factor than it has been over the last 2 quarters. And in times of uncertainty, people move towards stocks where they have good visibility and when they have attractive cash flow, and Apple fits that bill to a T. So it is an attractive, in many investors' eyes, an attractive stock at this current time. I think the big question ultimately is, Apple is riding high. It had an incredible year last year. Operating profit dollars went from 68 billion to 110 billion, an enormous increase. And so the question is, did they effectively pull forward demand over ensuing years, and can they keep it up for the next couple of years? But for right now, they're executing very well, and data points generally around the iPhone cycle are good.
Up another almost 2% today. Tony Sacconaghi, thank you for joining us.